The most affordable and most expensive states to live in. Where you live shapes nearly every aspect of your financial life, from the price of groceries and rent to how much you can realistically save each month. A Yahoo Finance and Marist Polls survey found that 47% of Americans say the cost of living is their biggest obstacle to saving money, and that challenge looks very different depending on the state you call home. Some states face steep housing prices, high taxes, and elevated costs for everyday goods. Others benefit from cheaper housing, lower demand, and more affordable services. Understanding these differences can help you make smarter financial decisions, whether you're budgeting, planning a move, or evaluating long-term goals. Cost of Living Index explained. To understand how expensive it is to live in different parts of the country, the Bureau of Economic Analysis uses something called the Regional Price Parity Index, or RPP Index. The latest 2024 data sets the national average at 100, which serves as the benchmark for comparison. When a state's score is above 100, it means the overall cost of living there is higher than the national average. When the score falls below 100, it indicates that everyday expenses are generally lower. The RPP Index takes into account several major spending categories, including housing, goods and services, utilities, local taxes, and transportation. Among these, housing plays the biggest role in shaping a state's overall cost of living. Because housing is typically the largest monthly expense for most households, states with strong demand for homes, especially coastal states and major urban areas, tend to rank higher on the index. In short, the places where people most want to live often end up being the places where it costs the most to live. Here are the 5 most expensive states to live in. Number 1 is California with index of 110.7. California ranks as the most expensive state in the country, with overall costs sitting 10.7% above the national average. Much of this comes down to housing. Major metropolitan areas such as San Francisco, San Jose, and Los Angeles have extremely high demand paired with limited supply, which pushes prices upward. Taxes and insurance costs also tend to be higher than in many other states, and everyday essentials from groceries to utilities to transportation often come with a premium due to the state's size, regulatory environment, and infrastructure demands. Number 2 is Hawaii with index of 110. Hawaii follows closely behind, with a cost of living that is 10% higher than the national average. Its geographic isolation plays a major role. Because so many goods must be imported, prices rise across the board. Limited land availability and strong demand for housing, both from residents and from the tourism industry, further elevate costs. Even basic items like milk, eggs, and gasoline can be significantly more expensive than on the mainland. Number 3 is District of Columbia with index of 109.9. The District of Columbia comes in at 9.9% above the national average. Housing in the nation's capital is exceptionally costly, and utility and service prices also trend higher. As a dense urban center with limited space and a constant influx of government workers, professionals, and students, demand for housing and services remains consistently strong, keeping prices elevated. Number 4 is New Jersey with index of 108.8. New Jersey's cost of living is 8.8% higher than the national average. Its proximity to New York City is a major factor, as many residents pay a premium for access to the NYC job market while living outside the city itself. Higher taxes, insurance costs, and above-average prices for goods and services also contribute to the state's overall expense. Lastly, number 5 is New York with index of 107.9. New York rounds out the top 5 at 7.9% above the national average. Housing is the biggest driver, particularly in New York City and the surrounding counties, where demand far exceeds supply. Taxes, insurance, transportation, and utilities also tend to cost more than in many other states. Even in upstate regions where housing is more affordable, the state's overall cost structure keeps it among the most expensive places to live. Here are the 5 most affordable states to live in. Number 1 is Arkansas with index of 86.9. Arkansas stands as the most affordable state in the country, with overall costs sitting 13.1% below the national average. Much of this affordability comes from its exceptionally low housing prices and relatively modest demand for real estate. Goods and services also tend to be cheaper than in many other states, helping residents stretch their budgets further. Even though personal spending increased by about 2% year over year, Arkansas remains one of the least expensive places to live. Number 2 is Mississippi with index of 87. Mississippi's cost of living is 13% below the national average, making it another highly affordable option. The state benefits from some of the lowest housing and utility costs in the nation, and everyday goods remain inexpensive compared to most other regions. Personal expenditures have risen only slightly, helping Mississippi maintain its position as one of the most budget-friendly states. Number 3 is Iowa with index of 87.8. Iowa comes in at 12.2% below the national average. Its affordability is largely driven by lower housing demand, which keeps home prices and rents manageable. Utilities, transportation, and everyday expenses also tend to be more affordable than in many other states. As a result, Iowa consistently ranks among the most cost-effective places to live. Number 4 is Oklahoma with index of 87.8. Oklahoma shares the same cost of living score as Iowa, also sitting 12.2% below the national average. The state benefits from low housing costs and relatively inexpensive goods and services. Utilities and transportation costs are also lower than the national norm, contributing to Oklahoma's reputation as a financially accessible place to live. So alive on this high we're living on, set you free. Lastly, number 5 is Louisiana with index of 88.2. Louisiana rounds out the list with a cost of living 11.8% below the national average. Housing remains highly affordable, and the state offers some of the cheapest goods in the country. Lower demand in major metro areas compared to other states helps keep overall living expenses down, making Louisiana one of the more economical places to call home. How to lower your cost of living wherever you live. Even if you're living in a high-cost state, there are practical ways to bring your expenses down and make your budget stretch further. The first way is to sign a longer lease to reduce rent. Landlords value stability, and a longer lease, often 18 to 24 months, can work in your favor. Committing to a longer term may lower your monthly rent, protect you from frequent rent increases, and give your landlord the security of guaranteed income. This approach is especially effective in competitive rental markets, where turnover is costly for property owners. The second way is to refinance your mortgage. For homeowners, refinancing can be a powerful way to cut costs. Replacing your current mortgage with one that offers a lower interest rate can reduce your monthly payment and save you thousands of dollars over the life of the loan. This strategy is particularly beneficial if interest rates have dropped since you first purchased your home. The third way is to use public transportation more often. If your city offers reliable public transit, using it regularly can significantly reduce your transportation expenses. You'll spend less on gas, insurance, parking, maintenance, and even car payments if you choose to downsize or delay replacing your vehicle. Even shifting a few commutes per week to public transit can make a noticeable difference in your monthly budget. The fourth way is to negotiate with service providers. Many people pay more than they need to simply because they never ask for a better deal. Internet providers, cable companies, phone carriers, and even utility companies often have promotional rates, loyalty discounts, or lower cost plans available, but they rarely offer them unless you ask. In some cases, they may even match or beat a competitor's price. A single conversation can lead to meaningful savings over the course of a year. And lastly, the fifth way is to consider relocating to a lower-cost state. If your job allows remote work or relocation, moving to a more affordable state can dramatically reduce your overall expenses. States with no income tax, such as Texas, Nevada, Florida, Tennessee, and Washington, allow you to keep more of your earnings. Even relocating from a high-cost metro area to a nearby suburb can create substantial savings without requiring a major lifestyle change. The bottom line: the cost of living in America isn't just a number. It's one of the biggest forces shaping your financial reality. Some states demand far more from your wallet because of high housing demand, taxes, and pricier everyday goods, while others offer significantly lower costs thanks to cheaper housing, lower demand, and more affordable services. Understanding where your state falls on the cost of living spectrum and what drives those differences gives you a major advantage when budgeting, planning a move, or setting long-term financial goals. And no matter where you live, you're not powerless. Strategies like negotiating bills, refinancing your mortgage, using public transit, or even relocating to a lower-cost area can meaningfully reduce your expenses. The key is knowing how your environment affects your spending and taking intentional steps to make your cost of living work for you, not against you. Please comment below on your thoughts. I'd love to hear your perspective.